So my name is Dennis Delemar. I am the director of Black Wall Street American Nightmare and the founder of GFF. And I'm here with one of our special guests that's going to be at GFF here at the Culture Center, Edwin Walker. So I want to, Edwin, just let people know a little bit about you, man. We met, when was that?
It's almost 6-7 years ago through
Yeah,
another mutual friend.
Yeah, 6-7
We
years
were talking
ago.
about Tulsa, Oklahoma. We were talking about doing projects that encompass the whole Black Wall Street. So look at that full circle moment.
Exactly. We was talking about it back then, man. And I just really love your spirit and what you bring, because we were just talking the same language, when it came to, how we see film and where we see it going. So introduce yourself to the people.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Dennis. My name is Edwin Walker. I also use the moniker Emi Show and paying homage to the great Oscar Show, who is a pioneer Black filmmaker who did it his way. He self-financed. He combated against all the stories that continued to put Black people in such a box. He really was the first filmmaker to combat white supremacy, and it inspires me so much. But I have been in Los Angeles since I was 18. I moved to Los Angeles and I got into working in production, still was writing, acting, producing. And it took me on a journey of self-discovery, knowing that I want to be indie, but also seeing what Hollywood, AKA Tinseltown, is all about. So while in my journey in LA and in Hollywood, I worked at 2 studios, a couple of major production companies. And at 24, it forced me to start my own production company, to start telling narratives that encompass a Black experience different than what the spaces and places that I was working was doing. So I also, as an actor, I would get on set and I would see a lot of people like me behind the scenes, calling the shots or producing. So starting a production company and still doing my journey as an artist with acting, I was fortunate enough to do about 5 short films that we traveled the world with those, did countless film festivals. On the acting side, I was able to do a couple pilots for ABC, NBC, booked some shows, Chicago PD, Atlanta, Empire, got a role in an upcoming show on Stars called Black Mafia Family. So the journey has kept me on this trajectory of being true to Black narratives, nuanced Black narratives. And every day I wake up full of purpose and excited to be a part of this new shift and dynamic that we are going in as Black creators and as Black filmmakers.
Most definitely. I appreciate that, man. And so with that, it's an interesting experience because you get to you have experienced like both sides. So you see what the indie look like, and then you're able to go into the room and, see what the corporate looks like and what the Hollywood looks like. And so with that, you get to really see, I feel like you get to see the truth with that, because you can weigh it out. And
absolutely.
And I love how you've done it, being able to take those lessons and see, because one of the things with GFF, and why I believe it's going to be special to the Midwest, is those systems. Hollywood and California, I will say, and I say this all the time, there's, you got the sharks and you got all this, but one thing when it comes to business is things are, move in a certain swiftness and legitness and, all that things. And so those systems are things that can be used in different spaces where people may not know how to kind of put things together in an efficient type of manner. So getting into the next thing is, because you've been in those spaces, give us a little bit. We're gonna, this is gonna be part, you're gonna be part of the forum. You're gonna be part of the forum about film's effect on the Black community, and we know that's like a, a huge thing. But just give us an introduction on the effect that film has had on the Black community as it regards to consciousness, how people view themselves, how they feel about themselves, and their possibilities in life. Like, talk about that.
Yeah. So I'm from the south side of Chicago. So I grew up in one of the most segregated and oppressed cities, in my opinion, in the US. And I grew up with the family that we had so many great stories. We got so much rich history and our heritage is so strong, but our heritage is always interrupted with these oppressive stories. So growing up, I remember watching Menace to Society. I remember watching Boys in the Hood and even Cooley High. You know, my grandmother put that on in front of me when I was like 8. And I started seeing like, man, how come Black people are always oppressed and struggling? And I remember that dynamic of seeing the Cosby Show, but the Cosby Show wasn't my reality. So for me, I started looking at my expression as a writer and as a filmmaker, start being pushed towards how do I show truth and depth in Black people are nuanced. It's so many different stories. Granted, we know we've been plagued with struggles due to white supremacy, but at the end of the day, that struggle doesn't become the best of us. It's like, how do you push forward through that? So for me, you know, working in those systems and coming from Chicago and being here in LA, it pushed me to say, how do I kind of bring fresh energy and innovation to this space? So one of the first short films that I did was about a affluent Black family that comes together and they literally have all their secrets exposed at Thanksgiving dinner. And I remember going on a film festival circuit with that one, and a lot of people saying, wow, I never seen a film that talked about a father that he was widowed and moving to, you know, Nigeria and Africa and connecting to his roots. And I said, well, that's what I want to do as a filmmaker. And I just produced a film right now that it'll be on the streaming in the fall. But Caged Birds is a story about these, you know, 3 Black kids growing up in the suburbs. And what happens when you begin to feel like, you know, you got an attack on your body in the suburbs, when we're so used to seeing an attack on a Black body in quote unquote the urban, in the hood. So I'm noticing having these conversations with film investors and with my peers is we have to bring new narratives. And if we keep seeing the same narratives that pushes us backwards instead of forward, then we won't be able to lead a new generation into being excited about being Black, being excited about seeing nuanced colors and saying the colors of ourselves, because we are different shades in every aspect of our life, you know? So that's why I really work hard for, and I consider myself a creative activist of art and storytelling, because you have to use some type of creative activism and being able to shed new light and freshness to, you know, to storytelling.
Most definitely.
Especially for our stories.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And, you know, had a conversation today with one of the actors of Black Wall Street American Nightmare, and we were talking about the aspect of, you know, how people have this, it's like programs. That's why I call it, you know, when you ever seen Tron and they said, you know, the user and they have the program, you know what I'm saying? The program is these thoughts, you know, how, you know, and I believe it's in a spiritual realm where it's these sentences, you know, they if you ever seen Wag the Dog, you know, it's these think tanks, you know, I feel like they're spiritual think tanks, and they're like, okay, how can we get the people going a certain way? And just like in Inception, they got to get the idea deeply rooted in somebody's subconscious in order to get them to move in a certain way.
Of course.
So when you look at the Black community, there's things like, okay, well, Black people don't work together, right? And there's, okay, we can never build anything and it lasts, or, you know, these type of programs where it gives people, it highlights the negative, but it's so one-sided that it's untrue. You know what I'm saying? Because Black people do work together, right?
Yes.
And, we do build things that last and these continual things. But in reality, art does sometimes, how do you say, imitate life. And so what's next? You know what I'm saying? Because that's one of the forms. That's one of the forms is like, what's next for us? Because we see that these corporate giants, they can come in and swoop in and put millions of dollars. We had that conversation the other day, like changing our approach about what an investment means. You know, is that a fancy word for a loan? Like, what is that? Let's not, you know, let's, you know, start to have those conversations. So is it possible, do you believe, is it possible? We know it's been done. We've seen it. Black Wall Street, seen it. But is it possible in the modern day age to see a collective having our own systems, having our own industry, having our own programs, and information where, we own it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You look, you know what I'm saying? We have supporters and we have, I would say partners. I like the word partners more than investors,
Yeah.
And
Yes.
but what's your thoughts behind that? Do you think that can happen?
I think, I think we right at the turning point of a whole new dimension. And I say that as like just not as filmmakers, but as Black people and even a Pan-African movement of connectivity. Over the past couple of years, you've seen more Black people get into it, in tune with their heritage when it comes to Africa on a spiritual level, wanting to understand more and connect with our ancestors. So I think if we go back to our ancestors was all about tribe and village. But a lot of our tribes and villages and that mindset was corrupted. So I think right now we understand with last year what we witnessed during this reckoning in the United States, which we always knew, and we knew what we went through, but now it was just put on a larger platform and more eyes were on it. As filmmakers and as creatives and content creators, I think it's really building tribes and being honest with your tribe, how to work as a collective. And last year, or 2 years ago, when we shot that film, we went down to Dallas, we raised, $250,000, and we set out to make an indie that was new, that was fresh. And I was the only producer on it. And a lot of my friends who work in the Hollywood system kept saying, "Oh my God, you're crazy. You're going to be the only producer on it." I just had one AP that came down and helped me for my company. And I had a line producer that was working remotely in LA. But I told him, as long as I got this village and I know that I have the power, the courage to push forward and execute these stories, all I need is that village mindset to get it done. And we pushed it out. I was able to get help from my LA costume designers and people with props in New York and Chicago. I had to tap into my collective and the resources. And I think if we don't do more of that with one another and stop chasing, like you said, some of these corporations and chasing what everybody else is trying to get and get a piece of, no, go and do a peer-to-peer network, build within your own. And that's what I tell all new filmmakers and even young kids that I mentor. Are you networking with other filmmakers that's like-minded like you? If you're doing content, are you working with other people that are still on the same, journey of content with you? Because when you look at success stories, everybody has somebody that they had to come up with. So I think we lose sight of that. And for me, I always try to push that back to say, keep being in that woodshed, but bring your tribe in there. Have somebody help polish, have somebody help saw, have somebody help paint, have somebody over there nailing, because it takes a village.
Man, I love that, man, because when you were talking, something hit me. And what it was, you have people, because for a long time, I'll give you a personal testimony. For a long time, was producing content, but it wasn't really knowing that it's my purpose, but it really wasn't, if I'm real, it wasn't fulfilling, right? And one of the things, through prayer and revelation, what came about was the audience. And that's the word which is the tribe. Your tribe is connecting to the tribe, because if it's not connecting, it's not bearing fruit.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If it's not bearing fruit, then you're gonna be starving. You know what I'm saying?
So, and your audience is gonna feel that authenticity because they're connected to that tribe-like mentality. They see a parallel in what you create and what you do and what you bring to the table. But it still takes a team. It's no solo frontier. It's like, I have these right people that together we connect to somebody because they see the beauty in our truth.
Exactly. And I would say the dilemma, maybe even in getting to that, because that's a really heavy thing. And I say that because getting to the tribe, first you have to know who you are first. You know what I'm saying? Or because if not, you'll be trying to get with the wrong tribe. You'll be trying to get with the wrong people and try to produce something, and it's not. You're not gonna be fulfilled, and they're not gonna be. It's just not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Everything's gonna self correct. You know what I'm saying? And so those are two big things, man. So I'm glad you said that. So we talked about, like, your background and things that that you're passionate about, and things that people can expect to hear. But just tell us a little bit more, a little more focus on that. Is what I'm coming here, I know about Greenwood, I know about Black Wall Street, but I'm interested in film because the one thing about film is now it really encompasses everybody because you got a phone on your cell phone, right? And so I mean, you got a camera on your cell phone. You got a camera on your cell phone. So it's encompassing everybody, and then you have people that are content creators now. So they're wanting to get the lighting right. They're wanting to get, how do I produce this thing? So it's still the same concept. But what can I expect as coming to see Edwin Walker? What can I bring? Prepare to hear? Yeah, what should they prepare to hear? And what do you want to say to them?
Yeah. For me, being able to come to the Greenwood Film Festival, it's a beautiful thing to be able to witness culture creativity on soil that was rich and also soil that already was building something so powerful and substantial. And as an artist, as a Black man, and as I consider myself a creative activist of art and storytelling and connecting with my ancestors, I want to be able to come and be inspired by the community and be inspired by these filmmakers and people that's coming to just seek knowledge, because all it takes is a vision. Right now we're sitting on Zoom. I'm sitting in a chair, you're sitting in a chair. Somebody had to have a vision to make this chair. Somebody had to have a vision to engineer Zoom to keep us connected, especially during a pandemic. Yeah. So that idea of planting a seed and helping someone water a seed that will turn into that chair in this Zoom and will be something that will come to life is something that every day I love to be in alignment with. And as I mentioned, that peer-to-peer network, being able to be amongst a networking community of artists, I'm inspired by that. So I aspire to inspire. So if I know I can go out and be able to hold space and fellowship and have a conversation, and I give something and I get something in return, that's life. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to partake in every day. So to answer your question, it's just exciting. It's really exciting to be able to experience this, especially this being the inaugural, festival. I think that being able to be in that special magic and energy that I'm sure is being cultivated and will be brewing and just electrifying while we're there. Yeah. I just want to be in that space and to be able to give something impactful there.
Most definitely, man. And one of the things I heard, translating what you said is love, right? And that's one of the things that, love yourself as you love your neighbor, right? And that's like that's the foundation. What we talking about with Black Wall Street with that is like, hey man, hey, I can cut your hair. Hey man, like if you can sew this up for me, you know what I'm saying? Can we get the exchange? That's the building blocks, and I think that's one of the reasons why like we connect and people that are part of this festival connecting is because of that loving that neighbor mentality and understanding that like we not gonna get too far by ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna get too far. Loving one another, the building blocks of the community, really. And so that's what we're hoping to and praying to bring to the GFF is loving our neighbor. You know what I'm saying? And seeing how getting rid of that Eurocentric capitalism, how can we, get over on our brother, but how can we help our brother first?
And build and continue to build tribes. And one thing when you look at history, man, and when you go back to our history, it was multiple tribes. And all of the trips that I've taken to, I call the continent Africa Mama, but all of the trips I've taken to Mama, I've learned something new about the multiple tribes. And I've learned that the tribe, someone always left one tribe to go build another, but they always came back. They always gave a resource. They always tried to continue to help that tribe build. Because you got some that would move east and west, and some maybe north and south, but that compass always brought them back together. And I think that's what we're building, and that's what we just need to really tap into. Yeah. We gonna build. We have to constantly build together, and that tribe mindset is that we in this together.
Exactly.
And in some situations, like you said, that Western mindset, we all we got. Yeah. And if we expect them, or they, as we like to refer to understand us, our stories and our plight, then we'll continuously be disappointed.
Exactly.
Because we're not trying to go and build audience and build space for us, by us, to connect with us and to build with us.
Exactly, man. Because it's sustainable, and that's why I feel like Greenwood is such a thing, because it gives people a little, you know what I'm saying, like it's not the pinnacle, because the pinnacle is continually, right? But it's a level up to where it's like, okay, you got something to look up to. You know what I'm saying? To see what community looks like, right? But then that's one of the things where GFF is why it's established, is to take those lessons from the past to inspire solidarity for the future. So we can take those lessons and see, okay, this is what they did good. Okay, this right here, we got to revamp. We got to move this right here. And then, you know what I'm saying? And because one of the things, what they said about Black Wall Street, it was called Little Africa. And so Little Africa, why? Because of the movements, right? Of the movements. And so Black Wall Street was a microcosm of what has been happening in our history, which is the building up, but also the dismantling, whether it's we won't get into that. Like I was saying. But the aspect of it being dismantled is like the questions and the things, and we need to get answers about, because if we keep ignoring that part and then still feeling like we just gonna build again, it's like, okay, well, hold up, before we build, let's talk about some stuff first. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we are, I feel like, in the time in history, is to really get to those deep rooted things that we can talk about. And then that's where we can say, okay, now we can build. That's where we're going to get on the same page first. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what we're doing. We're rooting it out to see, okay, you know, so man, I'm excited, man. I think excited is like an understatement, because it's just like, you know, time happens, you know, Yah puts things together, and it's just like, you know, we talked about it, and you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, it's happening, but it's like, it's just like, you know, surreal in a sense, because it's like, man, this is happening. But it's like, and that's where, you know, it's like, it's written, you know what I mean? Where it's just happening, you know what I mean? And it's like, just on that path. So I'm excited to see you here, man, and to see what transpires, because, you know, we talked about this, is letting this platform be a place where the tribe of, you know, whether you want to say, you know, woke or whatever, people are able to have something to where we can launch our stories. You know what I'm saying? Launch our stories and get our stories exposed. And inspiration, like you said, inspiration comes out of there. Maybe somebody come, you get inspired to do a story, or maybe you know how to put a story together. You know what I'm saying? Because these things were we were taught these things, and now we want to, you know, make sure that people have access to those things. So, man, I appreciate your time, man, and I'm just excited to see June 12th through the 14th.
Yes, we are a month away, and I'm ready to get there and be able to, just like I stated earlier, be a part of history, because it's making history, and also be a part of so many people that are bringing an amazing energy and excitement, which fuels my excitement. So I'm full of gratitude, and I appreciate you, brother, and I salute you for being able to be at the helm of this and seeing this vision through, and trusting the process. And so many people are gonna be able to thrive off of your impact. So just big salutes to you.
Man, all praise to the Most High, man. All praise.
Yes.
And I appreciate you, man. So let's get it, man. About that time.
Get it. It's here, a month away.
Get your tickets, greenwoodfilmfestival.com. So, all right. So we out of here.